Hey everybody, it's Stacy. I wanted to inform you that we have the power of one. Once again, I had somebody else subscribe to my channel. So I wanted to do a video. I want to thank the new subscribers, anyone who is the power of one. I always like to talk about the power of one because it's that one thing that we do on a daily basis. It's that one thing that we do different. Sometimes nothing changes till it changes. And so to empower yourself, we just do that one thing. As a mental health coach, mindset coach with Pop Recovery, I get to work with people on a recovery journey, most of the time with weight loss, and so changing our mindset. My expertise is in addiction, codependency, and grief. So all of that plays a part in our daily lives. But I've been talking this month in our, I have a group coaching session, and so we've been talking about breaking cycles and interrupting patterns. So as my gift to you in Mental Health Month, this gets to come to you here on YouTube. So I wanted to talk about that because a lot of the dialogue that we have for ourselves, and I know for myself, I struggled with lack mentality, and a lot of people may hear about lack mentality and not know what you're talking about and where that comes from or what it is. So I wanted to share that with you today because a lot of the evidence that we gather is based on some expectations that we have from some dialogue that we've heard through the ages, that our parents heard, that our parents' heard, and they didn't have the resources we have today to change our minds, to change our mindset. So some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about are the ways that we can change that inner dialogue, okay? So one of the things that we hear, when I'm talking to people in sessions is that, we're waiting for the other shoe to fall. And I know myself, I was waiting on the other shoe to fall. And I used to tell people, tell my therapist, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And all of this. And she said, Stacy, can't you imagine something good happening? And I've told many of y'all this, so some of you have heard this story. But I bold-faced lied and said, I said, I don't have an imagination because I thought that all of those things were my reality based on the perceptions that I had given. So waiting for the other shoe to fall was a real thing to me. I want to tell you where that statement, waiting for the other shoe to fall, comes from. That actually comes from the 19th, 20th century from New York because everybody's apartments were on top of each other and the bedroom was on top of the next bedroom. So the thing was, when somebody would get home from work, they would take their shoes off. One shoe would come off, and so the neighbor downstairs would wait for the other shoe to fall. So can you imagine, when we get in the reality of what's going on there, is that for the person taking the shoes off after coming home from work, it's a good thing. But is waiting for the other shoe to fall really a bad thing in reality? Just like me, the stories that I'd heard through reality, waiting for the other shoe to fall meant that I had an expectation that something else was going to happen, So I was basing my story, because we're all creating our stories on a daily basis, so I was basing my story on that. Another one was when I had a client that she had a problem in the morning and another problem, and so it seemed like it was escalating. So the saying, when it rains, it pours. So I want to get you clear on where that comes from if you don't already know. Now, when I tell you, you're going to recall it if you're my age. But Morton Salt. You remember the girl with the umbrella, when it rains, it pours. Well, do you know what that saying is about? It's about them having an anti-clogging agent in the salt so that it didn't, become a hard mass, so that it would pour. So, in reality, when it rains, does it always pour? No, it doesn't always pour. But again, we have that expectation attached to that, right, when we hear sayings like that. So I've got some notes here. That's why these sayings, we need to check in with our perceptions, because raining does not always mean it's going to pour. And the other shoe falling doesn't always mean that it's bad. So it's these things that we tell ourselves, adapting our vocabulary so that we can interrupt these patterns that go on in our mind, that where we have this expectation, because you carry around you that energy with that expectation that something bad is going to happen. Because everything, life on life's terms, is everything's bad until it's not, and it's good until it's not. It's always evolving. See, that's what we're always doing. as we're always evolving. Changing your vocabulary will open you up to more experiences and greater adventures. So, it will help you grow your esteem. We continue to say things, sorry I'm reading, I'm trying to get this video done as soon as possible, and I'm basing this off of my notes from when I did it last time. We continue to say these things over and over. We experience the same things over and over. That's why we need to interrupt these patterns, and it starts with what we think and reflecting on the power that we gave old thoughts and being willing to let those thoughts and expressions go to create new, and that is where we begin to interrupt patterns. You see what I'm saying? So in another one, this is helping me to learn too. Another one was about, my mom used to tell me, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Sometimes we all have self-punishment and try to punish other adults. I have videos on punishing adults, and it's not a cool thing to do. You can't punish adults. Adults didn't have other ways of punishing back in the days. They didn't have resources to help them learn how to discipline kids, to be able to teach them cause and consequence other than getting your butt busted. But you get a certain age, and kids don't know how to make choices without somebody busting their butt. Same with working with people. Is oftentimes, we're healing wounds. And so sometimes people start to cry and they'll say, I'm sorry. And I tell them, you don't have to be sorry. I'm not going to give you something to cry about. How many of your parents told you don't cry? I'm going to give you something to cry about. Do you know that crying actually waters your soul? It lets all that junk that you've built up over your soul, because what happens is when we hear statements like that, when our thoughts are dismissed and our feelings are discarded, then we start doing that to ourselves. And then we think that it's weak to cry, and it is not weak to cry. It waters your soul. It heals your soul. We all need rain, and rain helps things grow, and that grows you too. Okay, so you're not going through it, you're growing through it. I said that in a recent video. So another one, cutting off your nose to spite your face. Let's go back to that. So that saying comes from, well, first off, the 1700s. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face is where this comes from. It came from the 1700s. It's the idea of causing yourself more harm than your enemy. Sometimes we want to give people the business, and that's actually passive-aggressive behavior. I did it myself. I'm not judging. I'm just telling y'all. So anyway, and then it comes from a saying in the 1200s, a Latin saying. It says, he who cuts off his nose takes poor revenge for shame inflicted on him. Okay, so we do not have to keep punishing ourselves. Sometimes we sabotage ourselves. This is like when you grow up in a family and they say, you made me do that, or don't make me do this. It's getting the idea that you have power and control over another person. And in reality, none of us should have power or control over another person. I know that we feel like we have it. We may feel like others have it on us, but when we start this healing process, it's about being a partner. It's about being empowered in your power, not dependent on somebody else to help you navigate. Oftentimes I'm working with people and they're trying to find themselves because of the codependency. You see, when we're codependent and somebody asks, how are you doing? We're dependent on how somebody else is doing to answer that question. When, if they're doing great, then we're doing great. But if they're doing bad, we're doing bad. That's codependence. How do you feel? It's not our own feelings. Sometimes we don't get to recognize our own feelings. So having our real and authentic feelings for our journey is the best adventure we can take. And I'm always saying that to my clients and everyone. So when we react to these things, we start reacting to this, and it can cause self-sabotaging. So most of us think that we're grown, we should know certain things, 18 to 21. See, we try to intellectualize all of this, and we're starting to create from what we don't want. Therefore, that's where transgenerational trauma continues. It doesn't go away because we're trying to create from what we don't want. The thing is to heal what we didn't want, how that affected us. And then when we can heal how that affected us, we can make clearer and better choices for ourselves and for others. But none of us knew that. I mean, our parents didn't have these luxuries of getting to know that we can know ourselves and that that's okay. A lot of us were, told we were selfish. I know I was. I was told I was selfish, if I wanted to be a kid, do kid things and things like this. And I know that I'm not the only one, because I work to support other people who have grown out of that and have learned it's okay to think about yourself, because you also hear sayings, you can't give from an empty cup, meaning that if you're not taking care of yourself, you certainly can't help anyone else. So I hope that this has been helpful for you today. I just wanted to get on here and let you know the power of one, doing that one thing different. And what you do on a daily basis is what's going to happen, is going to escalate what happens tomorrow. Einstein said, you keep doing the same thing, people, that expectation, same thing, doing different, getting different results. You're not going to do that. You have to do that one thing different, and get excited about it. Because just that one little thing, just one person subscribing to this channel prompts me to get off my butt and make you a video. And I don't know how many people are going to see this video. But the thing is that person matters, and you matter too. And so that's why I'm here to do this, to let you know that you do matter. So before we close, I'm going to read you this last sentence, because I'm going on to something else this week, talking about breaking cycles and interrupting patterns. So learning to recognize when we're allowing our inner child and our sympathetic response system with its negative feelings run our reactions, or to pause and take a moment for our parasympathetic response system to align and comfort the inner child and gain control of our central nervous system, will bring peace, harmony, and clarity. Will bring peace, harmony, and clarity. Okay? And we can heal our child and become excited about what we get to learn about ourselves and forgive ourselves when we buy into BS. That is where harmony is restored. And acceptance, all acceptance, I put in capital letters here, of who we are and the perceived good and bad. That's healing. Because none of us are perfect. I work with a lot of perfectionists. I've been a perfectionist before too, but I'm not anymore. My therapist told me, Stacy, wear your socks different, wear earrings different, do something different, because I tried to make the outside look so perfect, but the inside was not, because I wasn't feeling comfortable with who I was. I still had work to do in that healing process. And getting into that acceptance is, I am not the perfect parent. My parents weren't the perfect parent. And sometimes some things happen that are beyond anybody's control, and we have to heal, or not. We can continue to be, we have a saying in recovery, pain is inevitable, but misery is optional. So I love being able to bring these things to you, and I hope that they're helpful. And I love to help people break cycles and interrupt patterns, as I've had to do with my own self, And I just want you to know that you're worthy, that we don't have to tell ourselves some of these stories anymore, that we can be the creative part of our stories. I believe in magic, mystery, and miracles. The magic is the creativity. The mystery is the part a lot of people want to avoid, because that's not knowing how these things are going to happen. And it usually goes, up and down, because it's about, just traveling through it. And then the miracle is when it finally comes to fruition. That's the manifestation. So we have the magic as creativity, the mystery is the transformation, because we're in that transformation. It ain't always easy doing the one thing and then doing another one thing, and then sometimes it seems like 2 steps back, but you keep going forward. That's why I do the breathing exercises with people, because as a martial arts instructor, that was the first thing. As a martial arts student, that was the first thing that I learned about perseverance, is to keep breathing and moving forward, rather than when you're triggered by something, throwing your hands up and moving back. We're not going to do that, right, y'all? All right. So hope again that this video has been helpful, and if you like this video, please subscribe to it, The Power of One, and I'll do another video. Even feel free to put in the comments below what you'd like to see a video on, and if I know about it, I'll help you with it. All right, I want to thank you once again, and to let you, know that you are worthy, to get on here and tell you that, even if you're just one person doing one thing different, or changing one thing that you're doing. Because if you want something you've never gotten, you've got to do something you've never done. So just one. All right. So wish you much peace and love, and I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.